Oklahoma, Alabama, I am very nervous about because I've exposed myself because I went Alabama to win. I went Alabama pretty solidly. Now, it could go way sideways with turnovers, as most any game can. I'm going to count on Ty Simpson being able to operate that offense like he pretty much has done all year, absent a traditional ground game. People keep throwing the OU run defense in my face. I have this like twisted view on this game where I would be more concerned about it if rushing was a more integral part of Bama's offensive profile. It's already not. You've done a great job on this show when you've come on it, documenting how they do accomplish what is the equivalent of running the ball. They just do it different than here, run through the B gap. They don't do it that way, but they still accomplish it. So I watched Ole Miss play Oklahoma. I watched Tennessee play Oklahoma. Those are the two passing attacks I would most readily compare to what Alabama can throw at you. Both of them were 320 or greater through the air, I think. So I trust that to manifest itself into some offensive production for Alabama. I also go back and watch the LSU game, which I know you have several times, and you just look at how many missed opportunities there were in explosive plays downfield by like fingertips, just by inches here or there. So I just imagine the focus on precision, the focus on accuracy, the focus on execution in route running and throwing the ball this week. For some reason, I really think it manifests itself in one of their most complete looking finals on the scoreboard this week. So I think they're going to win. And it's not like some blowout or anything like that, but I think they'll win. I think they'll cover that 5.5. I actually think they're going to win the game by 10 or more. How wrong or right do you think that is?
I think you're probably wrong in thinking that it's going to be a big win. There are a lot of things that could be problematic for Alabama in this game, but there are not a lot of other things that I think Oklahoma can do to say extend the lead or just walk past Alabama in this game. I love the Alabama defense being able to do some different things than they were doing 6-7 weeks ago. I think some of those can actually help against John Mateer. I love, like, say, Jordan Jefferson at linebacker and his ability to run, how fast he is, being able to utilize him as somebody who sort of just negates what John Mateer can do on the ground. We say spy all the time, and it doesn't always work, but understand, you go back and watch Lenore Sellers against Ole Miss. Pete Golding did something I'm not sure I've ever seen. He had double spies for a lot of the game. And I don't think people oftentimes, Josh, see the fact that even though the spy doesn't make the tackle, there were multiple instances. Roman and I talked about this on Read and React, where you see Lenore Sellers kind of start to tuck the ball and look to run. You can see his helmet turn, and he sees that guy 4 or 5 yards off the ball, off the line of scrimmage, and he immediately turns to go a different direction. Like, spies can operate in that instance as well, where you're just a deflector to be able to get the quarterback to leave the pocket a different way so he doesn't have those direct north-south runs when he decides to tuck the ball and run, which is usually when they're most dangerous. You don't want John Mateer to be able to do that. If he wants to run 360s around the pocket, try to go back and forth and zigzag, great, because the longer that lasts, the more likelihood it is that it's going to be a play that goes into your favor. To the rushing yards, it was interesting. You said people are giving you the rush defense numbers for Oklahoma, to which everybody tells me that the earth's falling in, going to cave in for Alabama because they can't find ways to run the football. When you do all the other things as well as Alabama does, I think it offsets a little bit of that. The good news for Alabama is where Oklahoma is most problematic is between the tackles and off tackle, and depending on the health of our Mason Thomas, may not be as effective off tackle as they have been. They can work their way around all of that. Quick throws on the perimeter. They're great with the screen game against LSU. You saw Cuevas on a little quick dump up the seams to the tight end. You have receivers that can hurt you down the field. Ty Simpson loves to work the middle of the field. And as busy as Oklahoma is, adding defenders to the box, utilizing numbers in the box to take away the run or pressure, there will be spots over the middle of the field that are open for him. This will come down to the Alabama offensive line just keeping him clean. If they can keep defenders off of him and escape a sacked fumble, strip sack for a touchdown, a hit that sort of deflects the ball up in the air and Oklahoma can intercept it, because I still don't know how good or great the Oklahoma secondary is. The defensive tackles are incredible. The edge defenders are really good. The linebackers can fly. The secondary hasn't had a ton of true tests this year because that group has been so good. So if Alabama can utilize quick game, quarterback run, a little bit of run game here and there, keep them off balance, force them to sort of calm things down as much as possible, that's the recipe for Bama to go win this game. Now, I will say this, offensively, Oklahoma's kind of finding their way a little bit. The last 2-3 games, hat on a hat with that offensive line, finding some space in the run game. This is a little bit of a different group. I think they're going to be playing from a front seven perspective, but if they lean on that and it starts to go, and I'm not talking 20, 30-yard clips or 20 carries for 218 yards, they just need to be in second and sixth. They need to be in third and fours. And with John Mateer's ability to move around, if they can do those things, I think Oklahoma can maintain possession. Then it could end up being a long day for Alabama, but have to have those first and second downs go first consistently if Oklahoma's going to find a way to be competitive or win this football game.
Have you done an Oklahoma game this year?
No.
Yeah. So have you not watched Mateer from field level, right?
Not in person. I met him at media days, but I haven't seen him play in person.
I remember I sent you that video from the Michigan game when we were there, and like everyone was making a big deal about Mateer's release point and how crazy it was and how low it was. Now they were using that to like disqualify for him from any legit conversation, which I thought was dumb. I bet him to win the Heisman, so obviously I was high enough on him. Then he got hurt, and he hasn't really been the same since. But to my knowledge, like I'm trying to think back, has there been that Oklahoma game where they're like 4 or 5 balls batted? It just becomes a chronic issue in game. It may have happened and I don't recall it, but I keep also waiting for that game because when I sent you that video, it is so glaring. When you're standing there and you watch how different the ball comes out of his hand, how much lower the release point is. And the video I sent you, I did it on purpose because you're looking at it looks like a squirrel weaving his way through trees to watch the football weave its way through, extended arms of defenders. Now, it doesn't matter if no one gets a hand on it. But as much as I'm concerned about, what if this defensive pressure, what if Bama's offensive line can't hold up? What if Mr. One interception all year, Ty Simpson, has 2 of them in the first half? As much as I think about that, I keep thinking about the same thing with him, and I think about how opportunistic Bama's defense has been. Like I think you got a top 10 turnover ratio team here against one in the 100s. And the one in the 100s is the road team, I think we said the other night. So that's the other thing I think about with Mateer. And then the third thing I was going to ask you about, because you kind of mentioned Justin Jefferson, and you mentioned the role he could play in this game. Bray Hubbard got like one of the Player of the Week honors in the SEC, which is just wild.
He was great last week.
Yeah, like you think about how we were talking about him after week 1, though. Think about if you were to have fast-forwarded and you showed yourself a glimpse of mid-November, and this is how we're going to be talking about the Bama defense, and individually, this is how we were going to be talking about this player or that player. Oh, by the way, Rousseau is going to be out. So they're going to lose him for a little while, and that's still going to be the state of that defense. How surprised are you at where they are right now relative to how they started the season? Hey, wait just a second. I appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video.
The only reason I'm not is because we had the ULM game. And we got to go in that facility. We got to talk to Kalen DeBoer, talk to Kane Womack. I spent a lot of time with David Ballou, the strength coach, that weekend, talking to him at practice and hearing everybody's message be exactly the same. That came out of nowhere. We had the best offseason from a weight room perspective, nutrition perspective. We had the best 2-a-days. They don't do 2-a-days anymore, but the best fall camp. We had the most physical camp we've had. Everything was the most and the best, and it was completely unexpected. And having known Kalen for a while, I didn't think he was lying to me. Having known Coach Womack for a while, I didn't think he was lying to me. Having known Grubb for a little bit, I didn't think he was lying to me. I've known Ballou for a while. He wouldn't lie to me. So that's forced me to kind of take a step back and say, all right, we need to give them a chance to right this, because if it was that wrong based on what the whole staff thought they were going to get, and you know, Josh, most staffs know what they have. Mm-hmm. They might not want to admit it, and they might lie to themselves every single day until it's all over with and they're fired. But that staff did not think that was feasible to put that kind of performance out there. So I kind of said to myself, we need to give them a chance. We need to give them a second, take a step back. We weren't going to take a ton away from the ULM game, but they responded. So that was job number 1. Came back, put it on the way they were supposed to, handled their business. Then I said, all right, now we're about to learn what this team really is. They have my attention again. Let's at least see what it is from here on out. So from that perspective, I'm not overly surprised. I think I'm just more surprised that we have outliers all the time in this sport, individual position groups, teams. We always have those funky losses, or an offensive line that just lets guys run through like a turnstile, or DBs that get smoked throughout the course of the game. We have it all the time. So I'm more surprised that it was that week one. But again, this is where the retraining of the brains still needs to come around and happen, because week one's going to be a lot different for so many teams moving forward. There are these guys in this locker room that have known each other for 4 or 5 weeks, not played football together. Like, they probably don't know each other's names when they're lining up next to them in an actual football game. So that takes your continuity away, the feel, the chemistry, the rhythm. Then all of a sudden, if you're getting different looks on defense, and the guy that I thought I was going to be IDing in the mic is not even in the game, and they're running a totally different front than we prepared for, all of a sudden that changes in a hurry. So I'm more surprised that it was that much of an outlier than I am that they've been able to bounce back, only because I had those conversations.
It's crazy also the ingredients that only the season can give you. And I could just as easily, we may end up saying this about Indiana last week against Penn State. You could practice as well as you possibly could. You could lift as well, eat as well as you possibly could. There may, for all you know, be an ingredient that it's mandatory the season provides you. Could be a loss, could be a close win, but it's what you get out of that ingredient that you could never have replicated. You go in Alabama's building now. Like I've asked several of their guys point blank, do you think you would be remotely the team you are without the FSU outcome? Every one of them says no. No, didn't know we needed that. Certainly didn't hope we needed that. But as it turns out, there's an edge here now I don't think we would have had. Try as we might, we probably would not have had that without the Florida State game. My thinking there is, okay, who else do I apply that to during the season? And it may be Indiana. It may be that Indiana's sitting there in the national championship game and they've won 3 back-to-back-to-back close games to get there, and you're like, wow, would we have been able to do that without that Penn State game, which people called a weakness. They called a flaw at the time.
Why do we outweigh that, though, by how incredible it was for Indiana to come back and win that game?
I don't know.
Like, why do we outweigh the closeness of it against a lower tier opponent, which that should even be an outlier in and of itself? It's kind of like playing, for SEC fans, that would be like playing a close game against LSU or Florida right now. Like, yeah, they fired their coach, but let's go through the litany of first-round draft picks that they have on their rosters. It's a lot of them, combined especially. So you don't think talent can catch up with you consistently on a regular basis? Like I do. It's not going to happen every week because we don't know where their brains are. And we don't know if they're mad, happy, sad, want to leave, don't like the fact that their coach got fired, elated that their coach got fired. We never know what that is. Penn State still has talent at the end of the day. That environment is still very difficult to go play in, no matter what. But we outweigh that by the ifs, ands, buts, ors of, why didn't they go in there and win by 40? What's wrong with them? What's their problem? How many teams in that spot could have done what that team did, specifically taking a sack on first down of that 2-minute drive? That's the part that nobody's talking about. Josh, you know how many teams on a 2-minute drive, 90-something yards to go win the game, back against the wall, hadn't done anything all day, that take a sack on first down, like, done.
Yeah. Yeah, take away the best wide receiver.
You're not coming back
well.
from that. You're just not.